Before you pour that next bowl of cereal for your kids, you need to hear this. I'm standing in the cereal aisle right now, and what I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shop forever. You see that box of cereal in your trolley, the one with the big health claims on the front, the one that says whole grain or high in fiber. I need you to flip it over and look at the ingredients list. Go on, I'll wait. See that second ingredient? That's sugar. And that third one? More sugar, just with a fancy name. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through 8 UK cereal brands that you need to avoid, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Some of these might shock you, some of them are sitting in your cupboard right now, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which cereals are lying to you and which ones you should be buying instead. Let's get into it. Number 8, Kellogg's Frosties. Let's start with the obvious one, but not for the reason you think. Everyone knows. Frosties are sugary, that's not news, but what most people don't know is just how much sugar we're talking about. A single 30-gram serving, which is what they recommend on the box, contains 10.5 grams of sugar. That's more than 2 teaspoons of pure sugar. But here's where it gets worse. Who eats just 30 grams of cereal? Nobody. A normal bowl is closer to 60 or 70 grams. That means you're starting your day, or your child's day, with nearly 5 teaspoons of sugar, before they've even left for school. And here's the thing that really gets me. Look at the marketing. They've got Tony the Tiger on there telling kids they're gonna be great. They sponsor sports events. They put football stickers in the boxes. They're positioning this as a breakfast for active, healthy kids. But the second ingredient after corn? Sugar. And not just a little bit. 37% of this cereal by weight is pure sugar. Now I want you to think about that for a second. If you bought a bag that was 37% full of air, you'd be furious. You'd feel ripped off. But when you buy a box that's 37% sugar, they call it breakfast, and they charge you £3.50 for the privilege. I spoke to a nutritionist about this, and she told me something that stuck with me. She said, if you gave your child a chocolate bar and a glass of milk for breakfast, people would judge you, but give them Frosties, and nobody bats an eye. It's the same thing. I'm not saying you can never have Frosties, but I am saying that if you're buying them thinking they're a reasonable breakfast choice, you've been misled. This is a dessert, not a meal. Number 7, Kellogg's Coco Pops. Right next to the Frosties, you'll find Coco Pops. Same company, different flavor, same problem. 35% sugar. That's what you're getting with Coco Pops. And just like Frosties, they're marketed heavily towards children. Coco the monkey, bright, colorful packaging, toys, and stickers inside. But here's something interesting that I discovered. Kellogg's actually reduced the sugar content in Coco Pops a few years ago. They made a big deal about it. Press releases, statements about children's health, interviews with nutritionists, the whole thing. And yes, they did reduce it from 39% to 35%. Now, that sounds impressive until you actually think about it. They reduced it by 4%. 4, that's less than half a teaspoon of sugar per serving, and they wanted a medal for it. It's still more than 1/3 sugar. It's still a chocolate bar in a bowl. It's still something that will spike your child's blood sugar, give them a burst of energy, then leave them crashed and hungry an hour later. And there's another issue with Coco Pops that doesn't get talked about enough. Look at the ingredients list closely. You'll see something called glucose syrup. That's sugar. Then you'll see sugar. That's sugar. Then further down, you'll see cocoa powder, which is fine. And after that, barley malt extract, which is also a form of sugar, so they're not just loading it with one type of sugar, they're using multiple different types, which means sugar appears several times in the ingredients list, just under different names. It's a trick that lets them avoid having sugar as the first ingredient, even though that's essentially what this cereal is. It's sneaky, and it works, because most people see glucose syrup and think, well, that doesn't sound as bad as sugar, but it is. Your body doesn't care what you call it. Sugar is sugar. I did a test at home. I weighed out a serving of Coco Pops, then I separated out just the sugar content. Do you know what 35% sugar looks like in a bowl? It's shocking. It's more sugar than cereal, and we're feeding this to children every single morning. Number 6, Kellogg's Special K. Now this one might surprise you because Special K positions itself as the healthy cereal, the diet cereal, the cereal you eat when you're trying to lose weight or get in shape. For years, they ran that campaign, remember? Drop a jean size in 2 weeks. Eat Special K for breakfast and lunch, they said. It'll help you lose weight, they promised. And on the surface, it looks fine. 17 grams of sugar per 100 grams. That's much better than Frosties or Coco Pops, right? That's less than 20%. Surely that's acceptable. Here's the problem. That 17 grams is still too much for a cereal that markets itself as healthy. But more importantly, that's not the full story. Let's talk about what's actually in Special K. The main ingredient is rice. Fine. Rice is fine. Second ingredient, whole wheat. Also fine. Third ingredient, sugar. There it is. Fourth ingredient, wheat gluten. Fifth, barley malt extract, which, as we've already established, is sugar. But the real issue with Special K isn't just the sugar content. The real issue is what's missing. Fiber. Special K has almost no fiber. 3 grams per 100 grams. That's nothing. Compare that to proper whole grain cereals that have 10 or 12 grams of fiber per 100 grams. Why does fiber matter? Because fiber is what keeps you full. Fiber is what slows down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. Fiber is what makes breakfast actually breakfast, instead of just a snack that leaves you hungry an hour later. Without fiber, Special K is just refined carbs and sugar. You eat it, your blood sugar spikes, you get a burst of energy, then you crash. And an hour later, you're hungry again, so you snack. And those snacks add calories. And suddenly, the diet cereal is actually making it harder to lose weight, not easier. I spoke to a woman who did the Special K diet for 2 weeks, lost 3 pounds, then gained 5 pounds back in the next month because she was constantly hungry and couldn't stick to it. That's not a diet plan. That's setting people up to fail, and Kellogg's knew this. That's why they stopped running those drop a gene size campaigns, because they couldn't actually back up the claims. But the perception remains. People still think Special K is the healthy choice. It's not. Before I show you the next 5 cereals you need to avoid, do me a favor. If you're finding this information helpful, hit that subscribe button right now. I make videos like this every week, showing you what the supermarkets don't want you to know. I dig into the ingredients. I talk to nutritionists. I do the research so you don't have to. And drop a comment below telling me which cereal is in your cupboard right now. I read every single comment, and I promise I won't judge. We've all been there. Alright, let's keep going, because the next ones are even worse. Number 5, Cheerios Honey Nut. Cheerios always confused me. Regular Cheerios, I mean the plain ones, they're actually not terrible. They've got whole grain oats as the first ingredient. They've got some fiber. The sugar content is manageable at about 20 grams per 100 grams. But then we get to Honey Nut Cheerios, and this is where things go wrong. Honey Nut Cheerios have 31 grams of sugar per 100 grams. That's more sugar than Special K. That's approaching Coco Pops territory. And yet they're marketed with the same healthy messaging as regular Cheerios. They've got the whole grain stamp on the box. They talk about heart health. They show images of bees and honey, which makes you think natural, wholesome, good for you. But look at the ingredients: whole grain oats, sugar, modified maize starch, honey, salt. Sugar is the second ingredient, and honey, which as we've established is just another form of sugar, is the fourth ingredient. So in the top 4 ingredients, 2 of them are sugar. And here's what really bothers me about this. The marketing is identical to regular Cheerios. Same box design, same color scheme, same health claims. The only difference is the word Honey Nut on the front, but nutritionally, they're completely different products. Regular Cheerios, 20 grams of sugar. Honey Nut Cheerios, 31 grams of sugar. That's a 55% increase in sugar content. But unless you flip the box over and read the label, you'd never know. I tested this. I went to Tesco and watched people shopping. Do you know how many people picked up Honey Nut Cheerios, looked at the front of the box, and put it straight in their trolley without looking at the back? Nearly all of them. Why would they look at the back? It says whole grain on the front. It's got the heart health tick. It's Cheerios. They trust the brand, and that trust is being exploited to sell them sugar. Number 4, Weetabix Chocolate. Now, regular Weetabix is actually fine. It's whole grain wheat. It's got decent fiber. It's low in sugar. I have absolutely no problem with regular Weetabix. In fact, I'd recommend it. But Weetabix Chocolate, that's a completely different story. This is a perfect example of a company taking a good, honest, simple product and absolutely ruining it to chase sales. Regular Weetabix has been around since 1932, nearly a century of just wheat, nothing else. No added sugar, no artificial flavors, just wheat. And it worked. People loved it. It was cheap, it was filling, it was healthy. But somewhere along the way, someone at Weetabix decided that wasn't good enough anymore. They needed more sales. They needed to appeal to kids. They needed a premium product, so they created Weetabix Chocolate. Regular Weetabix has 4 grams of sugar per 100 grams. 4. That's basically nothing. It's just the natural sugars in the wheat. Weetabix Chocolate has 24 grams per 100 grams. That's 6 times more sugar. 6 times. And the marketing is insidious. They still use the Weetabix name. They still have that whole grain message on the box. They still position it as a proper breakfast. They still have that iconic Weetabix shape. But what they've created is essentially a chocolate biscuit that you eat with milk. Look at the ingredients. Wholemeal wheat, chocolate chips, sugar, glucose syrup, cocoa powder, palm oil. That's 3 different forms of sugar in the top 6 ingredients. And here's what really annoys me about this product. Weetabix didn't need to do this. Regular Weetabix is perfectly fine. It's successful. It's trusted. If you want it sweeter, add some fruit. Add a banana. Add some berries. Add a drizzle of honey if you absolutely must. But no, they had to create a version that's preloaded with sugar, coated in chocolate, and market it to children. And parents buy it because they see the Weetabix name and they think, well, Weetabix is healthy, so this must be fine. It's not fine. It's a betrayal of what the Weetabix brand used to stand for. Number 3, Kellogg's Krave. Krave is interesting because it doesn't even pretend to be healthy. It's marketed as an indulgent cereal, chocolate-filled squares. Chase the taste. It's positioned as a treat, but here's the problem. It's in the cereal aisle. It's sold as breakfast. Children are eating this before school. Adults are eating this before work. And the nutritional content is absolutely bonkers. 34 grams of sugar per 100 grams. More than 1/3 sugar. That's before you add milk, which adds even more sugar. But wait, there's more. The fat content, 13 grams per 100 grams, and 4.5 grams of that is saturated fat. For context, the NHS recommends that children aged 7 to 10 should have no more than 20 grams of saturated fat per day. A bowl of Krave could be nearly a quarter of that limit at breakfast, so you're getting high sugar and high saturated fat in a product that's marketed as breakfast. And the portion sizes they recommend are laughable. The box says 30 grams is a serving. Have you ever measured out 30 grams of Krave? I did. It's about 10 squares. 10 squares. That's not a breakfast. That's barely a snack. A realistic portion is probably 60 to 70 grams, maybe more, which means you're doubling all those sugar and fat numbers. So now we're talking about nearly 7 grams of saturated fat and 24 grams of sugar in one bowl. That's half a Mars bar worth of sugar and 1/3 of your daily saturated fat allowance at breakfast. And look, I get it. Krave tastes good. The chocolate filling is delicious. The crunchy texture is satisfying. It hits all the pleasure centers in your brain, but that's the problem. It's engineered to be addictive. High sugar, high fat, crunchy texture. That's the formula for foods that you can't stop eating. I've seen kids who won't eat anything for breakfast except Krave. Won't touch porridge. Won't touch eggs. Won't even touch regular cornflakes. Just Krave. And once you've had Krave, with all that sugar and chocolate, everything else tastes boring in comparison. That's not an accident. That's by design. Number 2, Kellogg's Crunchy Nut Cornflakes. Crunchy Nut is one of those cereals that everyone loves. I get it. I really do. That honey and nut coating is delicious. The crunch is perfect. The taste is addictive. But that coating, that delicious coating, it's mostly sugar. 35 grams per 100 grams. More sugar than Coco Pops. More sugar than Frosties. And it's marketed as a premium version of cornflakes, as if adding sugar and honey makes it somehow better. Regular cornflakes aren't great either. They're mostly just refined carbs with minimal nutrition, but at least they only have 8 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Crunchy Nut more than quadruples that. And here's something I want you to understand about honey-coated cereals. When you see honey on a cereal box, you think natural sweetener. You think healthier than sugar. You think wholesome. But in reality, honey is just sugar with a different name. Your body processes it the same way. It spikes your blood sugar the same way. And in these cereals, it's not even real honey most of the time. Look at the ingredients on Crunchy Nut. Maize, sugar, peanuts, honey, barley malt extract. That's 3 different forms of sugar in the top 5 ingredients. And the honey they use, it's honey flavoring, which is sugar mixed with artificial flavors to make it taste like honey. It's not real honey from bees. It's laboratory created honey flavor. So when you buy Crunchy Nut, you're not buying cornflakes with real honey and nuts. You're buying sugar with some some cornflakes and peanuts mixed in, and they charge you 4 pounds for a box. 4 pounds for sugar. I did the maths. A box of crunchy nut is 720 grams. 35% of that is sugar. That means you're paying 4 pounds for a box that contains 252 grams of cereal and 252 grams of sugar. You could buy a bag of cornflakes for £1.20 and a jar of honey for 2 pounds, and you'd have more cereal, better quality honey, and you'd save money. But Kellogg's knows you won't do that because it's easier to just grab the box off the shelf, and that box has been designed to make you want it. The colors, the fonts, the placement in the supermarket, every detail is calculated. Number 1, Nestlé Cookie Crisp, and here we are. Number 1, the cereal I think is the absolute worst offender on UK shelves. Cookie Crisp. Let's just start with the name. Cookie Crisp. It's a cookie. It's a biscuit. It's not breakfast, it's dessert. But it's in the cereal aisle, it's marketed to children, and parents buy it thinking it's a reasonable breakfast option. The sugar content? 34 grams per 100 grams. That's the same as Krave. But somehow, Cookie Crisp feels worse because it's so blatant about what it is. They're not even trying to hide it. The cereal pieces are shaped like chocolate chip cookies. They have actual chocolate chips in them. The box has a cartoon wolf on it called Cookie Crook, who's trying to steal cookies. The tagline is the chocolate chip cookie cereal. It's a chocolate chip cookie that you pour milk on. That's what this is. And the worst part? Kids absolutely love it. Of course they do. It's designed to be loved. It's engineered to hit all the pleasure centers in your brain. High sugar, high fat, crunchy texture, chocolate chips. It's as close to actual biscuits as you can get while still being able to call it cereal. Look at the full ingredients list. Whole grain wheat flour, sugar, rice flour, chocolate chips, wheat flour, glucose syrup, dextrose, palm oil. 4 different types of sugar in the top 8 ingredients. 4. And palm oil, which is terrible for the environment, linked to deforestation in Indonesia and Malaysia, and not particularly good for your health either. But Nestlé doesn't care, because Cookie Crisp sells. It sells because kids want it and parents cave. I watched a mother in Sainsbury's last week. Her daughter, maybe 7 years old, was begging for Cookie Crisp, begging, and the mother was trying to say no. She was trying to explain that it wasn't healthy. She picked up a box of porridge instead. The daughter started crying. Right there in the aisle, proper tears, the whole thing, and the mother caved. She put the porridge back and grabbed the Cookie Crisp. Now, I'm not judging that mother. Parenting is hard. Shopping with kids is hard. We've all been there. But that's exactly what these companies count on. They design these products to make kids want them desperately. They use bright colors and cartoon characters and chocolate. They advertise during kids' TV shows. They put toys in the boxes. And then they sit back and let exhausted parents deal with the fallout. If you have Cookie Crisp in your house right now, I'm not judging you, but I am asking you to think about whether this is really what you want to feed your family for breakfast. Because it's not food, it's candy in a box. Here's the good news. There are actually decent cereals out there. You just have to know what to look for. First, check the sugar content. Anything under 5 grams per 100 grams is good. Under 10 is acceptable. Over 15, you should think twice. Over 20, put it back on the shelf. Second, look for fiber. You want at least 6 grams per 100 grams. More is better. Fiber keeps you full, helps with digestion, and slows down sugar absorption. Third, read the ingredients list. If sugar appears in the first 3 ingredients, walk away. If sugar appears multiple times under different names, definitely walk away. Fourth, ignore the front of the box, ignore the health claims, ignore the cartoon characters, flip it over and read the actual nutrition information. Some cereals I actually recommend: shredded wheat, original, no added sugar version, just wheat, nothing else. Regular, Weetabix, not the chocolate version. Porridge oats, either quick oats or traditional rolled oats. Plain bran flakes, Mornflake oat bran flakes. These are boring, yes. I'll admit that. They're not covered in chocolate. They don't have cartoon characters on the box. They don't come with toys inside. But add your own fruit, add some honey if you really need sweetness, maybe some nuts or seeds, and you've got a breakfast that will actually fuel your day instead of just spiking your blood sugar, right? That's it. 8 cereals you should avoid and some better options to choose instead. What's the worst cereal you found in your supermarket? Drop it in the comments. I want to know if there's something even worse than Cookie Crisp that I've missed.